Today's video is sponsored by the good folks at Reach.me, a new video response platform that allows you to get a private and confidential video message from your favorite YouTuber or influencer answering your personal question or problem. You can find my profile over at reach.me/Richard Cooper or download the iOS application. All you have to do is smash the Reach Me button, type in your question in this box over here, plug in your credit card information, and boom, you get your response when you send the request. Enjoy today's video.
What is up, my brothers from another mother and some rational sisters from another mister that might be watching this today? As you can guess by today's title, we're going to be talking about MGTOW. I've had a number of requests over the past few months. Am I MGTOW? What do I think of MGTOW? Any end of the spectrum on that. And I guess, something like this is something that I'm just going to freestyle while I'm driving. Just get past this truck over here. Because I haven't really formed my final view or opinion of the concept of MGTOW. What I suppose I am is more of a red pill awareness guy. There's different spectrums of MGTOW for those of you that don't know. MGTOW stands for Men Going Their Own Way, for the noobs that might be watching this or newer to the channel. And on one side of the spectrum, you've got guys that will date women on a regular basis. They have no problems with it, but they don't do it with the intention for long-term commitment, for marriage, for live-in relationships, because of the risks that are involved. And I'll talk about that in a second. On the other end of the spectrum, they actually have levels of MGTOW, which I found kind of interesting. It's like you got level one, which is they'll date, but they don't get into long-term relationships. Basic, next level is they'll just have sex, but not even date. And it's like, it kind of goes to the other end of the spectrum. I think there's like 5 or 7 levels, I don't know. And the other end of the spectrum is basically not having a bank account, living off the grid in a cabin in the woods, hunting your own food, having nothing to do with women and, government and society and politics and all that kind of bullshit. And I get it. It seems like a lot of the guys that have gone MGTOW, the real guys that really get it and understand why they've gone that way is because they've had very bad experiences either with family law or with women or a combination of both. And I'm a divorce guy. I understand now after the fact how badly family law favors, or there's a huge bias towards women in family law court systems for the transfer of money, for wealth, control of the children, and everything like that. And it's really bad. Like, I get it. It's the only time in my life, and I think I've mentioned it before, where I actually considered committing suicide was going through divorce and the way I was treated and handled on the exit of that relationship. Holy crap! It's like dump truck festival here today. Anyway, so how did I come across the concept of MGTOW? And I actually started coming across MGTOW type of channels, stuff like Sandman, MGTOW 101, Turd Flinging Monkey, stuff like that. And the one problem that I have with those types of channels is it's voiceover video. And for me, I really connect on a personal level with people that create content on YouTube by looking into their eyes, by seeing their face, the expressions, the authenticity. And I miss that by only looking at slides. So it's difficult for me to connect and fully absorb a lot of the content. While a lot of it's logical and makes reasonable sense, I think MGTOW 101's videos are probably the ones that I like the best, because he's taking sound bites out of media clips that are authentic between men and women, and he's basically commenting over them, which is cool. It makes logical sense, and I can see why his channel's grown so quickly. And again, I guess I'm kind of rambling here today because I'm freestyling this. I'm not doing this based on notes or anything. But the problem that I have with it is when people go too far, I guess, with their values and opinions of dealing with women. There's a really cool book called Sex at Dawn, which is basically the prehistoric origins of sexual and intergender relationships between men and women. And there's a lot of comparisons made between humans and primates. And our closest relative on a primate level is the bonobo chimp or ape. and chimps are second. And the genetic differences between human beings and bonobos is 1.7%. And I'm pretty sure the genetic differences aren't on a sexual or intergender level. They're more like I'm driving a 700 horsepower M5 that was built in Germany and they put on a shipping container boat and brought over here, and I can go to the store and buy meat and food and all kinds of stuff like that. That's really the genetic differences between humans and bonobo chimps. It's not how we interact on a sexual or, on an intergender level between male and females. And we're pair bonding creatures. Human beings are most definitely pair bonding creatures. The problem is a lot of that pair bonding's been changed. It's been destroyed. Like, if you take human history over a course of, I think it's roughly 350,000 years, and I can't stretch my arms far enough, in the frame, but let's say from this window of the car to that window of the car, most of you guys will have frame for what that is. If I were to pluck out a beard hair and hold it up to this side of the window, that would be recent history on a span of 350,000 years during, in that space. So for all that time, we've been hunter-gatherers, we've been living in these small tribal communities. They postulate that anything greater than about 20 became, too much as far as managing those relationships, between people and alpha versus beta and all that sort of stuff. But it's only that little human hair part over here that's resulted in communications, mass industry, been able to produce cars like this and roads and systems and infrastructure and stuff like that. So we are naturally pair bonding creatures. I don't think that's ever going to change, which is why when I look at MGTOW, I look at it from a red pill awareness perspective. And I had a conversation with Paul Elam, if you saw that talk a few days ago, and one of the things he mentioned is, he doesn't believe that men can have true like a true level of calmness unless you navigate through life with a lens of red pill awareness. And I agree with that. I think that, you have to understand feminine nature. You have to understand how biased the family law court system is against men and how badly women can behave during divorce. And there's no incentives for women to behave well during divorce. Things like marriage should really be off the table for men. That's not I don't feel like that's a MGTOW statement. I feel like that's just an intelligent statement navigating through life, viewing things with a lens of red pill awareness. So you've just got to open your eyes to all these things that we kind of navigate through life almost completely blind to, which leads to a lot of the bad choices and bad results that we get as human beings. We're gonna have a little commercial break. I'm not being sponsored by these guys, but I drink a lot of kombucha. You guys asked me about my diet and what I eat and stuff, but very good for gut biome, ginger kombucha. Anyway, and a lot of guys like me were surprised by the way we were handled in the family law system and by women through the course of divorce. I think the vast majority of guys that really grasp and devour MGTOW are the ones that have been through divorce, because you don't really know what it's like until you live it. And I wouldn't say go get married, get divorced to live it, to have that experience, because it's such a bad experience for many men that they take their own lives. So that's why, when you see me talk in my videos, people go, well, don't give advice to date women or, get into relationships, go MGTOW. I disagree. We're pair bonding creatures. We're not exclusive. We don't always pair bond for the rest of our lives, but we're pair bonding creatures. So being able to navigate, the slippery slopes of intergender relationships with women is something that you've got to get good at by opening your eyes. But I got into marriage with this rosy picture of all the bullshit that society and media and religion and upbringing and parents and friends and all that stuff had basically pounded into me. Get married, be a man, have children, boom, 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 boom. And it's like, and then you start hearing shit like happy wife, happy life. And you're like, oh, fuck. And it's like, after a while, you start to see the reality of what that is in today's modern world. There's a lot of criticism on things like feminism and how that's changed the way women are and how women are no longer truly, the women that they were. Like men and women should complement each other, okay? Men have strengths, women have strengths. Men have weaknesses, women have weaknesses. You know, they can complement each other, and you can pair bond if you can find the right partner. The problem is the world in which we live in today, this recent piece of history, is not basically in line with how we've lived for 350,000 years, where, you know, guys would go out and do the hunting and the women would do the gathering and taking care of the tribe and, you know, things like that back at the main village. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I don't pretend to have the answers to everything. I'm like you guys are. I'm just a meat-covered skeleton driving in a car to my office to, you know, deal with my day. No different than what a lot of you guys have done today or throughout the course of your week. And I'm on a rock, flying through space around a exploding sun, trying to figure shit out. So I guess that's my take on, you know, the concept of MGTOW. It's a fairly deep rabbit hole that you can go down. It doesn't end. I don't see any ending of it in sight. You know, I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to see this sooner than later. Some guys don't see this till later on in their life. There's a lot of younger guys out there that have made some very intelligent comments in my videos that I'm grateful for, and your contribution and the storytelling that you make from your own experiences. But you really do, like, pair bonding with women is a very, very natural thing. It's going to keep happening. And I think one of the elements that I'm focusing on in the creation of content on my channel is giving you guys some of the best experiences that will help you become better versions of yourself by understanding the nature and our nature as men, and the feminine imperative and the female nature, and how they react to certain scenarios, and basic hardwired programming that a lot of guys have a hard time getting and understanding, and women too. Things like hypergamy. It's like you just can't get around it. There's an interesting link that Rollo Tomasi left on his Twitter feed recently. It was about a guy that saved a woman's life. They were dating and there was conflict, and the title of the article that was tweeted out was "Hypergamy doesn't care if you saved her life." You know, we think that we get a special set of rule books by behaving a certain way in our relationships with women or doing certain things, and there's certain laws of intergender relationships. In fact, you'll probably find me writing a book about this at some point, or doing a more in-depth video about maybe 10 laws that you need to understand. But there's certain laws that govern all relationships between men and women that are universal, with very, 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 very tiny exceptions. You know, the very fine unicorns that might exist that still reserve their right to change their opinion and join the masses of feminine imperative. But things like gravity. Gravity is real. You know, I'm driving on a road because of gravity. If gravity didn't exist, I wouldn't be on the road. I'd be flying up into space. So, you know, I think humans, and I talk to a lot of my coaching clients about this too, you know, human beings are masters of two things: complicating the shit out of our lives, one, and two, trying to justify why we did that. I'm going to leave the video at that so I don't ramble on too much. Leave a comment below, guys. If you need coaching for anything you're stuck on in life, I'm happy to help. The link is in the description as always. It's just clarity.fm/Richard Cooper. And we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.